GoGold, it's not a project, it's a district. Final permits are expected in 60 days, leading us straight to construction decision and the pre-production sweet spot. Get ready to explore the next big silver producer. Welcome, mining lovers. This is Charlano de Minas, the Spanish podcast dedicated to mining investment. Now, in English. Do you want to learn? Subscribe. Do you want more content in English? Leave us a comment. The episode is about to start. Welcome to Charlando de Minas, the only Spanish podcast dedicated to mining and commodity investment. Today, in English. This is the original interview, but you can find this interview translated to the language of Cervantes in the channel. Today, we are bringing back one of our favorite silver stories, not just because they have been generating a steady cash flow for over years, or because they have got a strong project in development, but because they are working on something bigger, building what could become a major mining district. We are pleased to welcome back GoGold Resources, and Brad, the CEO of GoGold, is joining us. Hi, Brad. Great to have you back on the show. How are you?
I'm doing very good and great to be on your show, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to your listeners today.
Thanks. Let's start with a quick refresher for our listeners and for anyone that doesn't know the project. GoGold Resources is a Canadian mining company focused on silver and gold projects in Mexico. Their strategy combines cash flow generating production, advanced development at Los Ricos South, and a district-scale exploration at Los Ricos North. They are currently operating the Parral project, which generates around 18 million in free cash flow per year, and are fully funded and ready to build their flagship project at Los Ricos South, pending only on a final environmental permit. With no debt, cash on hand, and a track record of building mines, GoGold stands out as one of the few junior developers positioned for a significant growth. They are listed in Canada under the ticker GGD. Well, Brad, since our last conversation, that I think it was a couple of years ago, GoGold has made a solid progress. And I would like to start with Los Ricos South, because you are almost ready there, with only the environmental permit left to basically start construction. And you have published the DFS, and Los Ricos South require 227 million in initial capex and has an after-tax NPV of 355 million. The IRR rises to 88% in the base case. You have a life mine of 15 years. You will produce 18 million of silver equivalent ounces. The all-inclusive sustaining cost is around $12.32 per ounce. I mean, these numbers, and we are just giving a bunch of numbers, but they are absolutely impressive numbers. And now, with the silver and gold trading significantly above to the DFS assumption, would you say that this position Los Ricos South among the top silver development assets globally?
You know, we have done some work on the district scale and looking at Los Ricos South and Los Ricos North. And yes, to Los Ricos South is an asset that would be similar to, say, Silvercrest that was just sold, or Los Gatos, and in the market. So yes, and then if you consider as well our pipeline in the Los Ricos district, which including Los Ricos North, and a lot of upside exploration potential around those two deposits, but just what we know of today, with the South being a definitive feasibility study, as you mentioned, and the North being an earlier stage PEA. Well, we looked at that district and we said, where does that rank? And, you know, we had some of our analysts at the banks look at it, and they said, really, you're in about the top 5 in the world as far as silver districts. So it is really a world-class silver district.
Nice. One of the major concerns early this year was around Mexico's proposed ban on a new open pit concessions. That initially impacted market sentiment, and most of the silver developers in Mexico crash on markets. Can you clarify was the final outcome of this, and how has influence to your mine plan in Los Ricos South?
Yes. I mean, Los Ricos South was always planned to start as the bulk underground mining project. And it went through various revisions, to the mine plan until we came up with our final feasibility study. But the potential ban that they did have on open pits, or the ban that the last administration had on open pits, for sure, influenced our thinking. But also in Los Ricos South, there's a community there, a small community of about 150 people, who are very much on side with the mine. And in Los Ricos South, we look at, a big open pit, and we just think in that particular location, and as far as our social license to do business in that community, we wonder, for the bit of difference in NPV, was it really worth it? And the outcome in the end is that we'll build a much smaller open pit at the top of the mine, and that's much later in the mine life, and we'll do 12 years now of bulk underground mining with stopes that are on average 11 meters wide. It's a very good ore body for very productive, low cost bulk underground mining, and that's what we chose in Los Ricos South. Now Los Ricos North is a different story.
But you said now that you will have a small, even if it's a small open pit, even if the majority is underground mine, will this have any impact on the permits or on the develop? Or because it's in a small open pit, this should be fine and it's understandable?
Well, and in fact, this small open pit doesn't start for another 12 years from now.
Okay.
So it's quite far out in the future. Also, there is not an issue with having open pits in Mexico now. The new administration under Claudia Sheinbaum, the same party, they have stated that there will be open pits in Mexico. So it's not really the issue that it was under the previous administration. And Los Ricos North is today planned as an open pit, and it's not in a sensitive area at all. There's really not hardly anybody lives in that area, and we still see that as very much open pit mining, and we think that's quite permittable. And Los Ricos South, bulk underground mining, 12 years from now, there would be a very, very small open pit at the very top, one that would not impact the community at all in any way. So I think our plan that we have today is Los Ricos South, 12 years of bulk underground mining, making excellent return on capital, excellent ore body, very well suited for bulk underground mining. And then we have Los Ricos North, which could be bulk underground mining, but we don't think it's necessary up there. We can do an open pit in Los Ricos North, and that'll give us the best NPV.
Great. You have mentioned that the only thing that is holding you back now is the environmental permit. What is the current status of the process, and when do you think that realistically can receive the green light for that?
Well, if you look at permitting in Mexico and in many places in the world, it'd be the same. But the three main permits in Mexico are an explosives permit, which is granted through the military, a change of use of land, which is granted through the environmental authority, and the environmental impact permit, granted through the environmental authority, of course. So we have now our explosives permit that has been issued to us. And we think we're very, very close to be getting awarded our environmental impact and the change of use of land. We applied for both of those permits a little over 2 years ago. And I would say all the technical work is done on the permits. So it's really just the final review and for them to issue the permit. Hey, it's an underground mine. It was really never an issue, even under the last administration. They didn't have any issue with underground mines, although they were slow to issue permits. But there's really, in our opinion, there's no question we're going to get a permit. And we think we're probably in that kind of 60-day time frame that we'll be getting that open pit permit. Or sorry, the underground
underground.
Los Ricos South.
Great. Not 60 days. I mean, it will be a massive good news.
Yeah, it will be an enormous catalyst for the company. And, all the technical work, all the, in the paper advertising to the public that the mine's going to be built there, all the work around, are there any objections to the mine? All these things have already been done. They've been done a long time ago. And it's just literally waiting for the issuance now of the permit.
In the definite feasibility study outlines 80 million of silver equivalent, including 41 million of silver, almost 500,000 ounces of gold, 11 million pounds of copper. Can you break down maybe a little bit more how is the production split between oxides, sulfides, maybe if there is any problem regarding metallurgy or anything like that?
Really, at the definitive feasibility study, we've done an enormous amount of work on metallurgy. And all the reserves today are within 250 meters of surface, and they're all oxide. So, and we've done, really being at the final feasibility, we've really done exhaustive work on the metallurgy. And there's no issues with metallurgy. I mean, we get good recoveries in the plus 90% on gold and just like 88% on silver. We produce a doré bar. We don't sell a concentrate, we sell a bar. Of course, it means that you get paid a better on a doré bar than you do on a concentrate. And the combined recovery is just over 90% recovery. So good recoveries. It's all oxide material. It's all leachable material in our reserves today.
Your reserves come from over 10 million of tons grading, around 276 grams per ton of silver equivalent. I remember, like, when I started this podcast, talking with some technical people that say that you have a massive project with excellent grades when you have around 300 grams per ton of silver equivalent. But this was obviously a long time ago now. Therefore, I mean, these numbers just, again, say that this is excellent. But can you clarify maybe how are the grades between the underground mining versus the surface potential? Maybe when you go to underground, the grade is a little bit better than later on the years?
Yeah, that's correct. In the underground, the average grade is about 327 grams of silver equivalent. And in the open pit, it's in the vicinity of about 250 grams. So the underground grade is much higher than the average life of mine grade, which you're correct is 276 grams equivalent. So really, those are very good grades, especially when you consider that the underground portion is an average stope width of 11 meters, vertical. It's very well suited for sub-level longitudinal mining, long-hole mining. So that means that it's very productive, and we'll be mining 2,000 tons a day and processing 2,000 tons a day. And where most of it is longitudinal, sub-level, long hole, most of the development is in the ore body. So that's good as well. And really, if you look at current commodity prices, it's even better. I mean, we've had a tremendous rise in commodity prices, and the definitive feasibility study in Los Ricos South is a very new study. So it was just published in February. So the costs are very current.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the questions that I have later, but we can do it now. Is basically this, that looking to the today's spot prices. I mean, they are much higher than your DFS base case. I mean, and you said this is in February. This means that the labor costs and all the costs and everything, it's fine, but in only these few months, the commodity just rises a lot for silver and for gold. How does shift your thinking and maybe on payback, or how this have influenced maybe the numbers on the definitive feasibility study?
Yes, if you look now, I mean, there's a sensitivity published in the pre or in the feasibility study. Now that sensitivity, I mean, the prices have even moved out of the range of what we published there. They moved up quite quickly. But if we put it in our financial model, which just changing the commodity price and understanding that the cost part of it is very new, very recent, at 3,200 spot price, about $3,200 gold and $32 silver, you would have an after-tax NPV discounted 5% of approximately 800 million for Los Ricos South.
Wow.
And then if you think about the first 2 years of mining, where we'd be achieving our payback, in the first year is a partial year. You're just reaching full commercial production in that year. It'd be about approximately 136 million of after-tax free cash flow in that first year. That's a partial year. And in the second year, you'd be about almost 160 million of free cash flow. So there you're looking at almost 300 million of free cash flow in the first 2 years, and that first year only being a partial year. So really in the first 2 years, we easily pay back our $227 million of CapEx. And we feel very confident with the feasibility study, because it's not just feasibility, it's a feasibility plus a front-end engineering design where we have costed with, costed about 75% of both the OPEX and the CapEx. So they're very good numbers.
No, I mean, the numbers that you are saying, yeah, they are amazing. And being able to pay in 2 years, let's say in 2 years, pay back like a mine of the size that you are describing, and this means that the numbers are just incredible. It's not normal that in less than 2 years you are able to pay back one project of this size. Therefore,
yeah, and it would probably be about 1.8 years now with the current commodity prices, so less than 2 years. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit how you plan to find the mine. No, I think that if I got my numbers correct, you have around 76 million in the bank. How do you plan to get the money that you need to build a mine? And if you think that you will be targeting debt, or if you want to do something equity, or maybe you are even thinking about the streaming with the copper that you are giving there. What are your plans ahead?
Yes. So recently we did raise more equity at $1.85 per share, or $1.82 per share, sorry. And that was just a straight share, no warrants. And in that, so we currently have 135 million US cash in the bank.
Okay.
No debt. And our operating mine is generating about between 5 and 6 million US of free cash flow per quarter right now as well. We also had about 8 term sheets for the debt portion or the project financing, and we're down to about 3. And in those term sheets, some of them are just total straight debt, and some of them are stream out that small amount of copper that we make in Los Ricos South. So that would be approximately, maybe we could receive about 20 million US for that stream, and that stream has some limits on it. So after we pay back the reserves today in copper, it would be limited, but it's such a small portion of what we're doing. It really
Of course.
very impactful. Also, we're looking at lenders who say, we wouldn't need to do any more equity to the general market, but some of those lenders are asking, could they, buy from the company a block of, say, $20 million of equity, so just so they have more exposure to the share price.
Of course.
So you look at that, and then straight debt. So between those, we want to have lots of extra capacity. So we would probably arrange between a stream and between maybe that's single block of equity to the lender and debt of maybe 100 to 110 million. We have a facility of about 150 million. Plus, we have 135 million in our bank account. So we have really no issues as far as financing and building this. And it's competitive. It's competitive. And then those lenders, they really want to get this business because they know that we have a lot of experience in Mexico. They know that we've built lots of mines before. It's on the strength of the deposit. It's a high margin deposit. And also they look at our balance sheet. They say, hey, you guys are producers and you have 135 million US of equity already with no debt. So easy to get this project financing. And we don't have to rush to sign it, but we are, advancing on it. And because we can even start building the mine with the cash we have in the bank today.
Mm-hmm.
So no rush.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very good point because it just came to me the next question. When will be the construction decision done? Because you are saying probably, let's say, 60 days for the environmental permit. Then you said you don't have any problems for funding, even though you still need to secure something there or there, but you have options. You already have money in the bank to start. Then once the environmental permit is out and it's favorable, how long it will be to have this construction decision?
Yeah, and on the debt portion, I just stress that we could sign that tomorrow. We could sign it right away, subject to them getting a permit. Of course, you have a facility without a permit, and they would have some due diligence, of course, to do as well. But and then on the build decision, I mean, really, we have good governance in our company. We go to of course, the board. We'll bring it all to the board, and we'll have a board meeting and make an official construction decision. That being said, really, the decision is essentially made. It's at every board meeting we talk about, okay, when do we think we're going to have the permit? It's really, there's no question. We just need a piece of paper today, and we're shovel ready. We're ready to go. We've even done some things we're so confident we're getting the permit. We've even put down money on the power line that we're going to build from a hydro dam that's 36 kilometers away. We put down $2 million US on that project. Of course, that's all included in the 127 of CapEx. So, and we'll start building this power line now. So we're doing the things that we're permitted to do today to get ahead of them in the construction. So we're, in our minds, essentially the decision has been made. And as soon as we have that one piece of paper, we get the shovel out and we're ready to
go. Once you have this construction decision, it's mostly that the orphan period it's done, no? And you are starting this development and entering in this pre-production sweet spot that it's known. Do you think, here are two questions. How you have lived all of this orphan period of the company that maybe you have a more depressed share price, and how do you envisage this pre-production period where you are expecting probably that the market catch up on price until a fair price until production?
Yeah, that's a good point. When you go through these projects, and we've taken this project from March of 2019 and zero resources to 280 plus million resources in the district through exploration. And there are several years of exploration putting out results on a 2-week basis. And, there's a thing in the industry they call the Lassonde curve, and that excitement about discovery. Of course, we climbed that. And then, at some point, your institutional investors and your retail investors, they come to you, and, we're heavily institutional held. We're about 50% institutional. They say, okay, you got to tell us what this all means. You have to tell us of what's the path to production, what's the economics of this. So you go into that phase, and it's, maybe the stock goes down because it's a period of not the exciting discovery.
Exactly.
So that's in kind of the dip in the Lassonde curve. And on top of that, quite honestly, the last administration, they said a lot of negative things on mining, and that
didn't help at all.
Yeah, it didn't help at all when we're going in that downside curve of the Lassonde curve. Now I believe we're in the part of the Lassonde curve with the permit, first pour, and we're doing all the percentage completed, that we're raising back up the other side of that Lassonde curve. Now, another thing that we're doing now, though, we're saying, here you have Los Ricos South. Here you have $227 million of CapEx being spent. It's all planned. Here we have our reserves and our resources. What we have found is that just to the south, and when I say just to the south, I mean 100 meters to the south of our reserves and resources, we came up with a theory that there's a missing part of the ore body that was faulted off and nobody ever found it. So we said, okay, let's just, with one drill rig starting off, let's just do some drilling again. Let's do some exploration. The first objective was, can we find the missing part? We found it. And now, we've drilled some holes there, not a lot, like 8 to 10 holes. And now we're starting to see what the grade will look like. So we're going to have some news coming to the market about that discovery of the missing piece of the vein. Would be about 500 meters long.
Mm-hmm.
And we think we're going to have some exciting exploration results at the same time that we're building the mine. So that's going to add an extra piece of excitement to the construction, because obviously if we can add more reserves and resources right next to the mine we're building, it's all going to be very accretive to our value. So that's what I think. That's how it'll play out. And one other thing is, let's not forget about Los Ricos North.
Exactly.
That's a big part of the picture here. This is a district, and this is an organic pipeline that the company owns. It's Los Ricos South. To build it, we're on the doorstep, as we say, of building Los Ricos South. And at the same time that we're building Los Ricos South, we haven't forgotten about Los Ricos North. We're going to go up to Los Ricos North. We're going to upgrade and maybe increase the size of the resources in Los Ricos North, and then the next thing is we're going to take that study that was done 2 years ago now, and it's an earlier stage study, and we're going to elevate that study to a definitive feasibility study, all the same time that we're building Los Ricos South. And Los Ricos South is 24 months to build, and then the ramp up to full commercial production is for 6 more months, so 30 months. But we really believe that by the time we're in full commercial production in Los Ricos South, we will have Los Ricos North with a permit, we would hope, with a definitive feasibility study, and generating enough cash flow at Los Ricos South that we could fund building it. So it'll be self-funded.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and Los Ricos North, if you think about the value of Los Ricos North at current commodity price, and let's adjust up the costs as well.
Yeah.
We can easily do that because we say these are the costs for Los Ricos South in a definitive feasibility study. So these are approximate, but if you look at the sensitivity, it would have about, and if you adjust the costs up to definitive feasibility costs in the South, it would be approximately another $600 million of NPV for Los Ricos North, 600 to 700 million. So then you're talking a district with $1.4, $1.5 billion of discounted after-tax NPV. So in Los Ricos North, we will do the work now, but that's kind of the target for spot price that we would see, in NPVs.
I mean, it's amazing, no? And the way I still remember one interview of Rick Rule that was saying, "I love Go Gold not for the project, but because it's a scale district project," and this
Yep.
is exactly what you guys are doing, and the combination and the potential. Now you are building, or you will be built, make the construction decision this year of Los Ricos South,
Oh,
and you
correct.
said 24 months to do that and to get the first port. But and these are questions that I haven't there, but you already reply, no? In the same
Yep.
time that we are doing this development, I mean, we will be doing all the feasibility study for Los Ricos North, and with the cash that we are getting from the Ricos South, we will be building the Ricos North. Then it will be just continue good news about developing, about bringing value to the investor, about just generating this a scale. You said 1.4 probably billion after discount of a project, and I still remember that like once there was all the bad news about Mexico, and you said about Los Ricos South. Never it was a open pit. It was always underground, and most people,
Yep.
just because they saw a Mexico a silver and gold developer, they were just selling, and and the company was in discount for anyone that knew a little bit about the project and knew that you guys have the experience, and this can be just an amazing district story. Uh,
Yeah, it's the opportunity, I believe, in Go Gold is for new investors looking at coming in to Go Gold is an excellent opportunity. It's the entry price today is really good. Evidenced by an overwhelming support for our $86 million financing we just completed at $1.82. But the opportunity there is that we're a company that Peral is making about 2 million ounces a year of production. It has 4 to 5 years of production left. We have some ideas maybe that we can extend that a little bit longer. And then with Los Ricos South, we're looking at the first 5 years of mining, potentially more with our exploration, where we're going to be adding an extra 7.2. So we're going from 2 million ounces with Los Ricos South. Then the company is going to about 9 million ounces of silver equivalent production. And then if you look forward to Los Ricos North, up there it's today in that PEA 8.5 million ounces. And you add that into the picture. So you're going 2 to 9, call it 15 to 17 million ounces in the company. And the Los Ricos is all in costs of about $12. So you really are talking a very significant mid-tier producer in the silver space. And as you know, the silver space is being reduced with all the acquisition going on now. There's not as many of us left. So in the silver companies, it's the playing field is not that big. So.
I mean, you have mentioned now this, and in the past, this recent M&A in the silver space, Silvercrest trading at 1.7 NAP, Los Gatos 2 NAP. I don't know, given the progression, the growth potential, here are two questions, no? Well, the first is, has anyone came to Go Gold and trying to acquire the project? And second, it's what kind of valuation for like a native silver producer it will be, because the other competitors with even like with similar projects, they are basically at two times NAP, no?
Yeah. Yes. Really, if you look that question about is there anybody who has come and approached us on it, I'll tell you, in my 32 years of doing this, it's normal that you have confidentiality agreements.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean anybody buys. There's a lot of, as we say in English, there's a lot of tire kickers on the car.
Mm-hmm.
They look at the car, but they don't buy. I would say another thing there is that, I am the second largest, as CEO, the second largest reporting shareholder of the company, and just behind Van Eck. So, I look at it, and I'm sure many of our shareholders look at it, long-term institutional retail shareholders, and say, come on, if somebody comes tomorrow, please don't sell this cheap, because we have such a good thing here in such a great district, and the real opportunity is to put this in production. That being said, everything's for sale at the right price. This is about giving a good return to our shareholders, which I am one of the very, very largest. So, but I think there's great value to be created here over the next 2, 3, and 4 years as we bring this whole district into production. And, today we're probably trading around 0.4 times our net asset value. And as we build this will climb up to 1 times and more. So that's a great opportunity. But we have to think about, that's a multiple to our net asset value. So there's 2 ways we increase the overall value of the company. We increase the multiple as we advance the project and get to commercial production.
Yeah.
And that's one real way, a very clear way we produce that, increase the total value of the company. And the other is to increase the net asset value by finding more. And I do believe we will find more. And today, near Los Ricos South is where we're looking today, and that's right beside the mine that we're building. So we want to increase both parts of the equation, increase the multiple to net asset value, and I do believe we'll increase the net asset value by increasing ounces as well.
And what about the north? Are you guys thinking about a little bit more exploration on the north before going to feasibility study?
Yeah, the exploration that we'll do up there, we'll do infill drilling to increase confidence. And I believe also on the edges of what we're going to build, we'll probably be able to do some expansion drilling as well. So the answer is yes. Primarily, we do have a lot of ounces up there. We have a resource in excess of 160 million silver equivalent ounces today, but in no means have we found the limits to that. There's lots and lots of exploration potential up there throughout the whole district. Again, we didn't stop doing exploration because we weren't having success. We said we'll take a break from exploration because our shareholders wanted to understand what all this meant as far as our road to production and as far as the value of that production, and understanding that eventually we will go back to the exploration again. So we've started that process of going back to exploration again, but primarily Los Ricos South, and some of that will come in Los Ricos North as we're infill drilling and looking at just outside of our resources to add more.
From the metallurgical point of view, how does the north compare to the south?
Really, except for one zone in Los Ricos North called El Arito. And as far as the total district represent maybe 12 around, I think it's around 12% of our ounces. That is the outlier. That one is not gold, silver. It's actually silver and some base metals, being zinc. And that one, we asked the question, why is it so different to everything, around it? And what's happened is that it's a block of mineralization that was faulted and thrust up, raised up. So what we're looking at there is the deeper part of the system that was, because of faulting, moved closer to the surface, and then the top eroded away. So it tells us something about what can be below all of the mineralization in the district. It tells us that underneath in the north, one of our biggest pits will be Alpha Bore, where we're in, are typical the same as the south, gold and silver oxides. But it tells us that maybe down deeper in another phase of exploration, there's a whole other part of the system down there, which is the sulfide, mostly silver base metal. So that's upside for the future. But that material today would be processed very late in mine life. So in Los Ricos North, we're still talking about the majority, especially the first decade plus of mine life, being oxides and a leach plant. And then maybe there's a future, and more than a decade into the future with more exploration, maybe, there's the flotation as well, producing silver and base metals in the deeper part of the system.
In terms of infrastructure, I mean, there is any problem about water? There is any problem about electricity, or how do you get out the metal from the mine site? It's all of these well defined.
Yes, the infrastructure is very good in Los Ricos. We don't need a camp. We're within a 45-minute drive of a community of like 6,000 people. We're in like a half-hour drive of a community of 2,000 people. We're an hour and a half drive from a community or a city, the third largest city in Mexico, of over 6 million people. So the infrastructure is very, very good. On power, we have the advantage of having a nearby hydro dam. So nice, clean hydropower that for Los Ricos South, we've secured 15 megawatts of power from this dam. So there's lots of available power. And water, we have our water secured for Los Ricos South. We're not that advanced in Los Ricos North yet, but we don't see any issue in getting water up there. That being said, we want to be good stewards of the environment. We have planned Los Ricos South to recycle all the water that we possibly can. And so we reduce our water consumption by having things such as dry stack tails, where we squeeze out the water and use it again in the process. And, that's, a lot of what we do. I mean, in the world, we need the minerals. We need that silver for green transition. And the new president of Mexico, she's very focused on the green transition. I believe her PhD in physics was around the green transition. So we've designed everything to have the minimum impact and on the environment, and best practices. For example, tailings, in the world, in the mining world, have been in the news a lot with some
Victoria Gold.
Yes, Victoria Gold, and I think in Spain as well, years ago there was a big tailings failure. Yeah, and so what we're doing in Los Ricos, our tailings are dry stack, which is the best method for tailings, and also we take those tailings and we mix them with cement and we pump them back into the underground mine in Los Ricos South. So we reduce the impact even further with those what's called paste backfill into the mine. Yeah.
Great. Let's finish up with the Parral. No, you said that the Parral, it's probably only 2 years left. You just built the zinc circuit maybe last year. You said that maybe you have a strategy to stretch a little bit more the life of these recoveries. What is the plan for the Parral? Because it's one thing that I love, that you guys have an income, for something that is very green, that is just reusing some of the residues, and this gives you cash flow, to make things like all the exploration that you have done over the years.
No, you're right about Parral and the greenness of that mine. I mean, we've developed technology there. We've adapted technology and developed it to work well with tailings, and it's an agglomerated heap leach with SART technology, which extracts the base metals and regenerates cyanide. So, the current reserves are plus 4 years of reserves, and we do have some resources in another pile of tailings that we own called the Esmeralda tailings. They could add another year and a half over there as well. And we drilled those. And we've done metallurgy, and really, we'll officially declare part of that as reserves. But today it's pretty obvious that a good portion of that should be economic. So that buys us more years. Now, if you think about Parral in the local area, it's over the hundreds of years. It's been a big mineral camp, and there are other mines that have tailings that could be reprocessed. That we're talking to the owners about those tailings, and I think over the coming years, there's a good probability that we will, get more tailings. I can think of piles of tailings that are more than 10 million tons. So we're working on that. We hope that some of those arrangements work out, and Parral will have another decade of operation. And you mentioned the SART circuit. Yes, that was a big boost for Parral. And that's where our team has really got to understand the metallurgy of these things. And we understand that there's zinc in it. And as the zinc was going up, it was reducing the recoveries. And it was making it so you had to use more and more cyanide. And cyanide is the expensive part of the process there. So that zinc circuit regenerates that cyanide so we can use it again, gives us zinc that we could sell. We sell our copper and zinc to Samsung. And one final thing about Parral that can't be understated is that it's a project that the environmental authority in Mexico is very interested in, because they are saying, in the new administration, there's 500 tailing sites in the country of Mexico, and they're looking at ways to clean those up. Many of them are located in cities, because the cities grew up over the hundreds of years around these mines. So, we've talked to the environmental authority, and it deepens our, good, our social programs, our environmental programs, and deepens our relationship with the environmental authority in Mexico, because they want to know more about our technology and how this works, and is it applicable to some of those other locations. And we'll certainly work in conjunction with them on that.
Okay. Let's wrap up. If someone just entered to the company today, what will be the key catalyst, or maybe the key news that he will have over the next 12 months?
The number one catalyst, somebody entering today, we're going to get a notification soon, we believe, that we're going to have that permit, and then we're ready to go. And that is going to be probably one of the biggest re-ratings in the company's history once we have that permit and we can build. So you're entering the stock today, you're getting the exposure to that catalyst, that big catalyst company. And then beyond there, you're getting exposure to the building of a mine, not near-term building of a mine that's really fully financed. And you're going to get exposure to exploration that we're doing around that new mine that we're building. And you're going to get exposure over the build period to a feasibility study happening in Los Ricos North, and a permit happening in Los Ricos North, another large catalyst for the company. And really, you're buying into a very defined strategic path to becoming a large mid-tier producer in the silver space, and a low-cost large mid-tier producer in the silver space. So 2 million, 9 million, 15 to 17 million. That's we see as our growth profile in the company over the coming years.
Thank you very much, Brad. I think that we have covered all the characteristics of this special project that will start with a single project, but will become a district over the next years. I think that you guys have a lot of catalysts going on over the next probably 3-4 years. And as I said, you just passed through this orphan period, and now it's a time for re-rate. It's a time for good news, and I hope to see all of them soon. We will follow all the news on the program as usual for the companies that come, and really I hope to speak with you again in 12 months and see how construction of the south it's going.
No, thank you for the opportunity of speaking to your listeners. Thank you.
Disclaimer: the content in Charlando de Minas is not an investment advice. Amadeu Bonet and his guests are not investment advisors. The authors may have interest in the companies mentioned in this publication. They may also have bias and not be impartial. The information in this publication and all the others in Charlando de Minas is impersonal by nature and should be considered as an entertainment product. The minimum risk of any investment mentioned in this video is 100% of the capital. Before to make any investment decision, contact a financial or investment advisor or someone qualified with experience. These broadcasts are a narrative of my learnings in the world of commodities and mining investment. In this podcast, we will try to bring experts, professionals, and companies. If you like it, please subscribe. I am Amadeu Bonet. Welcome to Charlando de Minas.